Okay, so you've just got your GCSEs, you've just enrolled into sixth form or college, and you want to do medicine or dentistry. So, main things you need to know. I'm going to generalize this across medicine and dentistry. So, I want to do medicine, but I'm going to generalize this. So, just as an introduction, it's going to be a big jump. You've probably given prep work from your sixth form or college, and you've done it, and it might have seemed hard, it might not have, it really depends where you're going. And now you're thinking, okay, I need the predicted grades for the universities I want to go to, which you should be looking at. And yeah, so first of all, you want to look around at some universities. Depends how you are. If you've got really high GCSEs, or you've got a good GCSEs or a good attainment 8 and you want to go to Oxbridge, start looking into their requirements. If you want to go to somewhere prestigious but maybe not Oxbridge, then you want to look at like UCL, maybe King's College London, maybe Imperial, maybe Manchester, places like that, Russell Groups in your prestigious universities. Then look into those if you want to stay close to home. So you live down south and you want to stay down south, you can look at Southampton, maybe some London universities since they're relatively down south. Plymouth, Exeter, places like that. So look into your university choices first, and then after that, so the next step in your timeline is going to be you want to start working. What do I mean, start working? Get a job? No. What I mean is to get the predicted grade requirements. Let's say you want to go to UCL medicine, for example, A-star AA typical offer minimum requirements. You will need to get those A-star AA predicted in whatever subjects they want. So let's say chemistry or biology for the A-star, and the A's in chemistry or biology, the other one. And another science, maybe, or they might say the second day needs to be in chemistry, biology, or another science, and the third day can be whatever. So what you need to do is you need to start studying effectively. Now, most of you who will have got higher grades in GCSE probably learned how to do this just while trying to get those grades. If not, the first thing you want to do is you want to use a reliable resource to info check. This is always the specification for your exam board. You want to go on your college website, you want to look for the exam board for chemistry, maybe biology, whatever subjects you do. Chemistry is usually a must, I think. If not, with just biology, you can get into 7 medical schools at the moment, but you want to look up those specifications and download them. Next, what you should do is you should get a resource. So for example, for most of my revision, I used Save My Exams and Cognito. For the sciences and for maths, I mainly use Save My Exams on YouTube, Zishan Zamured. I'll try to tag him in the description if he's got mentions on. And yeah, lifesaver, that guy. But that's what you want to do. So once you've got these two things sorted, you want to be learning from Save My Exams or whatever resource you've decided on and fact checking it in the spec. Of course, the specification isn't going to tell you, like, it's not going to teach you, but it's going to have checkpoints that you need to basically get through. If it's CAQA specifications, they have them in lines and sometimes they include definitions, that's good. If it's the Excel specifications, normally they just have checkboxes where you just tick as you go along. You want to tick to make sure you know everything, and anything that you don't know, you Google, you find it on YouTube, you find it on Chem Guide, very useful website, you find it on somewhere like that. If it's not on Save My Exams or Cognito, because sometimes they do miss things, but we can't hold it against them. So that's number one. To actually make sure this information is in your head, for things like biology and chemistry, I like using flashcards. And for all 3 subjects I take, chemistry, biology, and maths, I really enjoy doing past paper questions as soon as I finish the, studying. I get straight to past paper questions, no doubt about it. No two ways about it, I'm straight to past papers. Oh my lord, this hair won't just leave me alone. On the upside of this, it's active recall, and it really triggers your brain to remember things, so if you need to take a day off or a few hours off, you're not just going to forget it. So that's the main thing, and you want to get really good with the mark schemes of your exam boards, like past papers. That is the key way to really max out those grades and really get them where you want them to be. Because realistically, it's not so simple as just learn it. You need to be able to check all the boxes in the marking criteria. So once you know how to revise, you need to get to it. I would suggest starting a week before you start term. I don't know when this video will be uploaded, so it might be too late, but a week before you start term is like nice. The people who will really want to do like very, very good, like bum sweats, they'll probably have started at the start of summer, which it's not that bad of an investment. But yeah, you want to be studying ahead. The reason being, number one, you can get round to asking your teachers questions in lesson, so that saves time, and also so that you already sort of understand everything. So lesson is more of a consolidation task to keep it in your memory, because either way you need to be in the lesson. So the mindset of, oh, I may as well learn it there because I have to be there, is like, it's not bad. You know, you can learn everything in class probably, but if your mindset is, I'm going to learn it all at home and then just go to the lesson and consolidate that way, the good thing is, number one, you're not at the mercy of your teacher. So if you do end up with what people call a bad teacher, and you feel like their teaching style just isn't fit to you, then you might find it harder to learn. But if you've already learned it at home, you know, you don't run into that problem. And number two, you can take advantage of the tasks that your college sets in class, and the fact that it's a consolidation period, so you've already learnt it, now you're just brushing it over in your head, and you should remember it better without really having to do much revision at home. This was my strategy coming nearer to the middle of the year, to the end of the year, where my grades really bumped up, because it allowed me to consolidate in class instead of at home as much. Like, I'd still consolidate at home, of course, but it saves you time, is what I think. So, next, moving on. What this does, though, is that in your assessments, you're going to have had more time to go over the past paper questions and the mark schemes and the questions you need to ask, and really solidify your understanding. And hopefully from that first assessment, you should be getting those A's, B's minimum, because, you know, it's a big jump of content and all that, and a new style, but you should be getting like B's minimum, maybe A's, A stars, in those first assessments. So, of course, if you start strong from the start and it stays as a consistent performance of like A's and then A stars, your teachers probably aren't going to hold themselves back from predicting you at least A's, which is what you need from literally every, except like I think 2 medical institutions across the UK if you're a non-contextual applicant, which, yeah, that means you've basically secured yourself the ability to apply most places except Oxbridge, UCL, and maybe King's. Even Imperial takes AAA, but their typical offer is A-star AA. As of this year at least. So yeah, the main thing here is really convincing your teachers. If you're looking at UCL, King's, and a high chance at going to Imperial, you're gonna want A-star AA. So you need to find which subject is your strength very early on, and you should, by studying them at home, you should figure out which one you perform best at. Now, after this point, you should maximize that one to really get the best performance you can in it, because that way you might have 2 A's and then an A star. So for me, chemistry, I was averaging around 80% on the assessments, 85% if I'm lucky. Because I had the smallest gaps in understanding on some of the things, which I've fixed over this summer. But back then, that really, like, it stopped my teacher from predicting me the A star, because I'd only ever really got the percentage for an A star regarded at our college once. Like, they prefer you to be in the top 20 people in the year or get 90% a few times, and then they're looking at, okay, A star. I only did that really once, so it wasn't really promising for my chemistry teacher, but she gave me the A without hesitation. So, you know, I still proved myself to be worthy for the A. Maths, I wasn't the strongest candidate. I started the year failing with an F. We then went up to a C, stayed at a C 1 mark off a B, then got to a B 1 mark off an A. Then we did a mechanics assessment for year 1 and year 2 mechanics. Oh, it was 1 mark off an A. No, I was 2 marks off an A because I accidentally flipped my signs on a question, which was really silly of me. And I didn't get the A star on that assessment, but I did get a high A star on the final assessment, pure assessment of the year. So my teacher predicted me an A. I slipped the A star there just because of the mechanics performance. That last question cooked me. So I did not get predicted an A star, but biology I picked up quite fast. At the start of the year I was at a B. The next assessment I got an A. I dropped back down to a B, and then I got 2 A stars. The first A star was just on the mark, and the second A star was a bit above. I think on the second one I was about 8 marks above the A star, which my teacher actually missed, but I was already on an A star. So when I brought it up to her, she was just like, "Oh, come on, mate. You've already got the A star, don't worry about it, seriously." But yeah, I was just about 8 marks above the A star point. So I got the A star given. So, I started the year decent, not strong, but decent, and I really eased my biology teacher into believing, okay, he's got this. So that's what you want to do. I picked my strong point of biology, and I just zapped on it, but I didn't neglect the other 2, right? So, yeah, I ended up getting, I think, 4 consistent A grades on the chemistry assessments after picking up. So, a bit on my timeline regarding the grades. So I started the year getting B, D, F on the first assessment. So the baseline tests, for the chemistry baseline test, I got I think 50%, 60%. Not a strong candidate, breaking off of a 7 at GCSE. Not that close to an 8. So, I wasn't that strong of a candidate, and it showed. Maths, I got just barely a 7. I think I was a few marks off of an 8, but it was all fluke, I think. I don't know. And I failed the baseline assessment. I think I got 20%. Horrible. Biology, we didn't have a baseline assessment, so I got away there. And the first assessments were the baseline assessments. So now going into the proper assessments, for maths, I worked my bum off. And I got a C 2 months after. I think I achieved 35 out of 60. And then later on, for biology, I did get a B. So I was literally 2 marks off of an A, so I was quite happy with that. As for chemistry, they tested us way more frequently than biology and mathematics. I think we had 1 more assessment than the other subjects, which is quite early on. I ended up getting a D, even though I studied quite hard and effectively, and I thought, wow, why has this happened? Turned out it was a lot about my wording, mainly, which I began to work on. So let's roll back round. We come to our second assessments. My chemistry assessment, I got the same percentage, but it was a C this time. The boundaries lowered. Maths, I was literally 2 marks off a B. I think 1 mark off a B. It was quite disheartening, but I pushed through. Biology, we got an A, just on the mark. Happy. Fast forward a bit more. We come to the third maths assessment. I ended up getting a B on pure, just 1 mark off of an A, and it was quite rough. But, we got past it. And for chemistry, this is where I think I broke through into my first A. So I never got a B. I sort of just skipped getting a B and just got straight to an A. Just on the mark. So I originally had a B. I bargained with my teacher, and she was like, "Oh yeah, okay, fair enough, you're right," and I got the mark. And we went up to an A. At this point, I was like, I can't let the A in chemistry slip, because, I've got 1 A now. I can't let it slip. I've got an A in biology, I can't let it slip. And maths, I'm close, so I can't let that slip either. So I keep pushing. And at this point, I got my biology test back, assessment 3. And it was a B. So I had A in chem, C nearly a B in maths, no, a B nearly an A in maths, sorry, and a B in bio. So I was like, oof. So I'm hustling, and I find a mark, and I tell my teacher, "Oh look, I found a mark," and she's like, "Look, it says in brackets this thing, so I should give you the mark, but I think you can get an A star, and I want you to start thinking like an A star student." So from that moment on, I was like, you know what, maybe she's right. And I went home and I studied so much, did so many AO3 questions, so many AO2 questions, so many AO1 questions, all these type of questions. And it paid off and I got the AA star. So yeah, it was very good. Coming on to assessment 4, I got the A star in biology, of course. Maths, it was mechanics, and it was year 1 and year 2, and I got just off an A. But I counted it as an A in my mind because I was like, come on, such a silly mistake held me back. Oh. And I was kind of sick and tired of maths silly mistakes just holding me back. And then in chemistry, I picked up the A again, and this time it was a few marks higher than the boundary, so it wasn't just on the mark, and I was like, okay, good. Fast forward to assessment 5, chemistry, I picked up the A again, many marks ahead of the boundary. For bio, we picked up the A star again, and for maths, what ended up happening is I did get the A star in the pure assessment, but the problem being is that I got about 79%, I still lost about 8 marks just because I solved quadratics, but so yeah, I didn't set my roots to I didn't solve it and set it to 0, so I lost all the marks. Yeah, 8 marks. I still got an A star, so not bothered. And we got predicted an A, so I'm happy with that, like over the moon. And I ended the year predicted A star, AA in biology, chemistry, maths, respectively. So, you've studied, you've done active recall, you've done the past paper questions, you've got your predicted grades, A star, AA, AAA, AAB, A star, A, wherever you want to go, you've got the predicted grades you need. What's next? So we've got the UCAT exam now. So everything I've just said about predicted grades and all that should take you from September or October all the way through to May, June. By June, you should get official predicted grades or provisional ones, which can be upgraded in September should you prove excellence or increase in performance. So now the next step into med dent is UCAT exam. You've got to take this exam. There's no other way about it. And yeah, you've got to do it if your option is to do undergraduate entry medicine. So what is it? Well, it's the university clinical aptitude test. It consists of 3 sections as of now: verbal reasoning, decision making, quantitative reasoning. Verbal reasoning tests your ability to read a passage of text and answer 4 questions related to it based on information in the passage, conclusions you can conclude from the passage which aren't directly stated, and what the author of the passage might think or agree with based on the information provided. Under time pressure, decision making is more about how you make decisions, how quickly you can make these decisions, what you take your base off, and how you sort data to make a reliable conclusion, even if there's not enough information provided. And that's also under time pressure. And QR, quantitative reasoning, is your mathematic capability at like a secondary level. It's nothing really harder than GCSE or maybe year 10 maths, but under immense time pressure. So, of course, if you get extra time or whatever, you can access the SEN version of the test, which just gives you extra time. But you've got to take this exam. It's out of 2,700, and we don't really know what a good score would be yet, but it's rumoured to be anything above 2,100. If you want to be guaranteed an interview, you should probably be above the 90th or 91st percentile, which is basically top 9 to 10% of people who took the test. Should get you an interview at most places. And you want to start preparation for this test in about June. So I started in the first week of June. I just did my diagnostic test, which just says where you are at now. I didn't do anything until the 19th of June. Did 4 days, took time off again, and went through to July and started properly in July. So more about the UCAT can be found in my UCAT video, which I'll try link up there if it lets me. If not, you can just go on my profile and find it. And that's everything about the UCAT. Should just be there, including my journey with the UCAT and what I scored. And yeah, so that's the UCAT sorted. Once you finish the UCAT exam, your score is sent to universities automatically from the consortium. So you don't need to do anything. You just get your result, and yeah, if you're not happy with it, you will have to retest the next year, and probably not apply to any unis unless you want to still do undergrad with your score at the unis available. But if you want to be doing it next year and you want to still go to like unis with a UCAT cutoff above your score, then just redo it the next year and don't bother applying to uni maybe. Now the UCAT cutoff is basically the score at which anything under that score the universities didn't consider didn't interview anyone below there. Now the reason this this cutoff happens is because they have so many applicants and they take a certain score at which under they don't offer interviews to that score, for whatever reason it may be. So that's the score that you want to be aiming above if you want to be likely to get an interview for 2027 entry. The admission statistics will probably be out for you guys on the new scoring system by the time it comes to doing your UCAT. However, for us, we have not much to go off of really. But yeah, that's the main stats for now. And yeah, that's about the UCAT. So after all this, you'll come back to year 13 in September, and you'll probably just you'll have to start going to interviews, getting offers if the UCAT and predicted grades go your way. You'll be going to uni applications through UCAS, that timeline, all of which I will probably end up covering after I've done my UCAS timeline, but it should go. In about June, you get around to writing your personal statement, which it should just be a rough draft because you'll have work experience and all that. If you get some after that, you finish the personal statement probably in around September because you'll need to have your application done by about late September, so your college is ready to review it and send it off in its succession by maybe October. So after that, what ends up happening is you do your personal statement, you get your predicted grades, you get your UCAT, you then submit your UCAS application, get interview feedback, do your interviews if you got them, then you get your offers, and this all goes into from maybe October all the way into March-ish time, maybe April. And then that's when you know what grades you need to be working to get and motivation to work harder. And yeah, that is the comprehensive guide to year 12, really, and how to boss it. So if you guys want more information on what I did for biology, like a full in-depth guide on what I did for chemistry, and a full in-depth guide for what I did for maths, please do leave that below. And yeah, I'm going to edit this and then get it posted. Nice. Make sure to subscribe and like so I get more reach. Bye.